all my years of doing marine survey work, since 1960, I have never ever seen such blatant, wanton vandalism of the marine habitat as what is going on right now at Beachmere, just north of Brisbane. I'll show you some pictures here that I took. The local council, a fellow by the name of Chris Whiting, he sent a report, and I'll show you some of that report, which is absolutely, well, not only is it not true, it is stupid. But have a look at this with me. Have a look at this report, because the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, protects what? I'll show you what they've done. As a quick summary of what's going on here, quite simply, they have been pumping water out from the substrate. That water would have been coming through all the way through from the swampland. That water would have been absolutely so potent, so toxic of nitrates and nitrites, so toxic of hydrogen sulfide, and then they pump this potent tonic into the lake water. And according to one report, there's over 7 tons of water of this toxic has been pumped into the lake, and they wonder why the fish are dying. This toxic hydrogen sulfide is so poisonous. It not only kills all the fish, all the crabs, all the shrimp and all the fish, but it was also accredited as the reason why the Bogle-Chandler mysteries of death, they were killed by this toxicity. And you've got people around this lake that will be breathing in these fumes of hydrogen sulfide, which is deadly.
The residents around the lake petitioned the council in writing on the 8th of November, complaining about the smell from the lake and our concerns about the water condition. And it was only in the morning of the 24th yesterday that we saw the evidence of this problem.
2.5 weeks ago they were warned about it.
They were warned, and they had been also warned about the levels in the lake depleted for months.
So the chemist is
Denise Stubbings.
And you've collected this sample of water. Where did you get that sample of water?
Out of the southwest corner of the lake.
Down here?
Yeah.
All right. And at what time of the day and what date was that collected?
That was taken at 7:30 last night on the 24th of November.
All right, thank you for that. We're going to get that independently tested. Thank you. There's a large variety of fish. You must realise that this is saltwater species, not freshwater. When you see, for example, there's a big mullet and a big mangrove jack, and there's a lot more mangrove jacks there, you can see that those fish would be at least 8-9 years old to be that size. And they've lived happily in this lake for many years. Have been healthy in this lake for?
We've been living here for almost 7 years.
It's actually a holding tank to stop sewage from overflowing.
Is it really? So therefore sewage gets to here somehow from
We've
somewhere.
got a pump station just there. It's been there for years.
All right, and so the purpose of this tank system is to do what? Is to prevent sewage from doing what?
Mate, you'd have to ask council what they're doing, but all I'm doing here is dewatering the ground for them. That's all I'm doing.
Now we're standing here where the council is developing their sewerage system, as you can see. Well, I pan down there. What's that down there, Len? That's the lake there?
That is the lake. This is the top end of the lake at Cundy Street, and we'll be able to see from any position on the lake the immensity of the problem and thousands of fish that are being killed.
And the council. Okay, thank you. So here lies the beginning of the problem. We are standing in what was a wet mangrove swamp area. And it would have been a breeding habitat here for crabs and fish. As you can see, it's dried up. Now, who is responsible for cutting off the water supply from the tides coming in here and following through to the lake? Now, we are also standing on the inlet pipe from the ocean, and as you can see by the oysters and the barnacles, the high level of the water where it would normally be. Now, and then it comes through that swamp into here. So that's the only access it has to the ocean. Okay, thank you. Does anybody know if that pipe is blocked or has been blocked?
Oh, it has to be. That's why the water's not getting in.
Okay. And has anybody checked to see if it's blocked?
We can't.
Well, you said that inlet is on the beach.
Yeah, further up, yeah.
Okay. So
the inlet's not blocked up there.
Pardon?
It's blocked.
Page Foolscap emailed to Allan Sutherland this morning, and I've given him chapter and verse as to what the situation of the lake was a month ago, that Saturday morning when we wakened and found the lake awash with froth and filth, and the stench of raw urine and just sewage in general.
And how long ago was this?
About a month ago, and I walked down to where they're building a new pumping
That would
station.
be the 25th of October? About?
Yeah, around about that. I went down to where they're building a new pumping station and saw this, where the sluice from the lake that normally runs out at the bottom of the lake, it was bunged up right at the pipe where it goes under the road, and all the way back to the actual start of the lake. It was a thick, putrid, tar-like, molasses black colour of fluid. It looked to be at least a metre and a bit deep and about a metre and a bit wide, and it had a bluish, oily, purplish tinge on top of it. And further up, about halfway up that, there were two flexible hoses, one about 150 millimetre in diameter, another one about 50 millimetres in diameter, disgorging many litres of water into this sludgy stuff. And it was all backflowing into the lake at a reasonable rate, like a good stream was flowing.
Going back into the lake?
Going back into the lake, and the stench was absolutely choking there.
Yep.
Take inlet water to this lake is dried up, and that is part of the reason what has polluted the lake. There's a mangrove jack that would have to be at least 5 or 6, maybe 7 years old. Now I'm with Ben Diggles from Dead-Fish Proprietary Limited, and he's an expert on environmental vandalism that's been going on. He's holding in his hand some samples. Where did you get those samples, Ben?
Well, these samples, they were taken from the Biggs Avenue Lake last night at 8 PM. They're taken straight from the pipe that's been pumping the groundwater out. This is in a sterile container, and this one another 1.5 litres.
Okay.
As you can see, stored in the fridge overnight, and we've got some flocking or some sedimentation as well.
We're going to do an independent study on those samples, but you've also got some information here that proves that they have not only taken the water out from the ground around that area leading into the lake, but they've been doing this for some weeks. Is that right?
Well, I can only go on what the local residents have told me there. They've said that pumping out of the groundwater has been occurring for a couple of weeks.
And now all that
witnessed that it has occurred between 8 o'clock last night and 6:45 this morning, so I can certainly attest to that.
So that would have spewed in a lot of anaerobic bacteria into the lake.
By my calculations, between when I took these samples last night and when they switched it off this morning, probably around 8 tonne of water, just in that short period of time.
Of anaerobic bacteria water.
It smells very, very much, it's got a high hydrogen sulfide content based on the rotten egg smell, and that would indicate that it's got no oxygen whatsoever.
Now they can disturb the water here and try to get the oxygen back into the water, but the toxins are still in there. It makes you wonder what kind of people that we elect into government and the kind of people that we employ into our bureaucracy. They remain faceless men. When there's a crisis like this, they go into hiding. We've got a fellow called Mike Watson. I think he works for the South East Queensland branch of the EPA, working out of Gympie. He's in charge of vegetation. There'll be a lot of other people that are in charge of the marine wetlands. Where are they? And how would they allow this to happen? You know, a 10-year-old student would be able to work out, anybody that had a 12-inch fish tank would be able to work out what's going on here, and yet these people don't ask questions. We've got a Christopher Whiting, who is in charge of the people. He's been elected to look after that precinct, and why doesn't he ask questions? They hand him a piece of paper and they say it's because of oxygen in the hot days. How ridiculous is that? Because if anybody that lives on a farm and they've got a dam, if you've got a dam that's about 8 feet deep and this lake is about 8 feet deep, anybody will tell you that down low it is very, very cold water, and the fish will migrate from the cold to the warm as they please. So it's nothing to do with about oxygen causing this, nor is it anything to do with about the hot days. It's to do with the toxins and the poison and the hydrogen sulfide.